I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
We are the future, Charles, not them.
I'm kidding.
We're the X-Men, dated metaphor for racism in the 60s.
What's a Magneto? A very powerful mutant.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the X-Verse. This week we are here looking at the 2009 Fox movie X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm joined by my friend, my co-host, your favourite.
Hello, I'm Kyle, I'm the favourite, and I just want to appreciate that you've really tried your best there to not call it a classic, and I noticed, and it is appreciated.
Thank you so much. I don't like being called out. I need to stop calling films class. This isn't a class, this is shit.
Listen, I don't think it's the worst film we've watched. Did you say your name, by the way?
No, I'm Jimmy.
You're Jimmy.
I'm Jimmy.
Jimmy, also known as Nathan. Yes.
Jimmy Nathanson, yeah.
Jimmy Nathanson.
Nathan's the name I got after I was shot in the head with an adamantium bullet.
Well, here's the thing. He's called Logan before that, because it's on his tags.
Yes.
So he just decided to start going by Logan, even though it's not his name.
Who called him Logan?
I don't know. I think he just came up with that himself.
He was like, I'm going to start calling myself Logan. That's like me saying, I'm going to start calling myself Bill.
Yeah.
Because
like,
it's short
really
for William, so my name's Nathan, thus Bill.
Yeah. He didn't like the name James. It doesn't suit him, so he says, I'm going to be Logan instead.
I think he looks like a James.
I don't know. He definitely doesn't look like a Jimmy, that's for sure.
No, he doesn't look like a Jimmy, no. But it's like an older brother thing.
Okay. Yes, X-Men Origins Wolverine. The start of the ongoing X-Men Origins series, for sure.
Yeah, X-Men Origins was like a new sub, because that was them. The X-Men trilogy was done, but we want to keep the X-Men gravy train going. So we were going to do a series of prequel movies that were standalones to each X-Men. So X-Men Origins Wolverine was our first one, because why not?
In theory, I don't think is a terrible idea.
No, in theory, it's a perfectly sound idea. I actually think this movie wasn't reason for them to stop that idea.
No, it's just... It's not a very good movie. It's not the worst movie we've done, because we've already done Daredevil and Elektra, and it's not worse than either of those.
The worst the movies we will watch on this show have been watched.
Yes,
I think we're past that.
Well, let's wait until we get to New Mutants, I guess.
That's true.
But yeah, it's kind of mostly just boring, I think is the main issue with it.
Yeah, I just started going and, unprofessional alert.
Unprofessional
alert. I just started, taking notes about, exterior shot design and editing of this movie, more than actually critiquing the story, because I was that bored.
Yeah, this is the movie that famously got leaked, like a screen print got leaked, or whatever you call it, like a pre-finished graphics cut. Which, I don't know, maybe it would have been more interesting to watch that, because there's still some shots in this that still don't look finished, to be honest.
I mean, that, pre-release leak, I think means nothing to me and you, because this is a movie that we're old enough to have been contemporaries with when it came out.
Yes.
And I think I liked this movie when I was a kid. It's a good kids movie, I think. It's a good kind of boys movie, if that makes sense,
Oh, this is a boys movie for sure.
This is a boys movie for sure. And I think me and my buddies and stuff, we all enjoyed this movie growing up. It was a good time to be had by all.
I thought I'd seen this as a kid, but I remembered shockingly little of it, and maybe that just goes to talk about the quality of the movie rather than not actually having seen it before.
You know how when you sort of remember a movie, but your memories immediately all go to the best bits of the movie, so you are like, oh right, okay, there'll be other bits that I'll not really remember, but on rewatch I'll see? And that'll be the connective tissue that makes the bit you remember make sense.
Yes.
There's no connective tissue in this movie. It's all just bits. It's bits happen.
I don't know. I feel like this movie's mostly connective tissue and no bits, to be honest.
I just think it's shit happening. Why does... So this is going to be a Homer Simpson's make-up shotgun kind of review. Why does Victor, Wolverine's brother, show up at Scott Summers High School just like menacingly randomly?
Because we want Cyclops in this movie for some reason.
Did you notice that Gavin Hood is a fan of The Simpsons in that shot?
He is doing the Bart Simpson thing, yes.
He's doing the Bart... No, but I don't mean he's writing lines on a chalkboard. I mean, it's the same camera panning through the window. Yeah, it's the exact same shot. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is a really niche reference, Gavin Hood.
Well, it's another Fox property, Nathan.
It is another Fox property. Synergy, Kyle. Synergy.
Brand synergy.
Oh, we love synergy.
How does Cyclops have, like, his laser-proof sunglasses, or does it just any sunglasses will work?
Any red-tinted sunglasses? Maybe that's, like, the filter, like the light band filter that stops it?
I feel like that seems like a thing that Professor X would have come up with, you know?
That seems like a thing. How the hell do you discover that?
Yeah, exactly. How do you do that when you can't open your eyes without shooting a massive death beam?
Yeah, and then you say, oh, I'll try these sunglasses on. Why? Why are you trying those sunglasses on? When did you discover that they block beams, Scott?
Yeah, how many sunglasses did you blast lasers through before discovering these ones?
But you know what? I'm a big fan of the big exterior shots of the beams just cutting through buildings with absolutely nothing to stop them.
This Wolverine movie uses his powers better than any of the X-Men movies did.
Yeah, it's probably broadly speaking still true for all the movies upcoming as well.
Oh boy, yeah. But anyway, we don't start there. We start in the Northwest Territories in the 1800s.
Yeah, Kel, you've lots of input on this.
I have lots of input later when they say they're in Canada, and I'm doing quotation marks with my hands right now. But yeah, they're in Northwest Territories, which, as far as I know, like 6,000 people live there now. There's almost no one there, and yet there's supposed to be this sort of noble household rivalry going on.
Oh no, so I think it's like, so there's an aristocratic couple type that live there, and
yes.
they have their son Jimmy, in quotations. So, well, definitely the correct mother, different father, and
yeah, even though the dad looks exactly like Hugh Jackman.
Exactly, Hugh. I think there's a lot here that was cut. Like the casting director went above and beyond for this bit for like a twist that the film dumps, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like, he has a friend, Victor, his best buddy, who's coming to watch Jimmy because he's not well. And then there's like a knock at the door, and there's a drunk man downstairs that's having a fight. He wants to see Jimmy. And I don't think this man is some other aristocratic nobleman. I think he's like the groundskeeper.
Drunk?
Yeah, the groundskeeper or something that works for
he's Victor's dad, right?
Yeah, he's Victor's dad, yeah. But I could imagine a world where an employee of Wolverine's supposed father, his son is friends with the aristocrat's son.
Yeah, sure. Despite this being called X-Men Origins, there's shockingly little actual origin in this movie.
Yeah, it's not like, I'm going through puberty and I've got my mutation powers. It's like, yeah, I'm ill. Then I have
all of this is established in like the first minute and a half of the movie.
Yeah, then we break right into credits. I actually don't think the whole opening of this movie ends until like 15 minutes in.
Yeah, it ends when we get the 6 years later cut. That's when the actual movie starts.
Yeah, that's when the movie starts, but it feels like the end of the first act.
But yeah, I would have liked more time in the 1800s, because I think it's interesting that Wolverine has lived a long time and that should be explored in the story. Instead, we just kind of montage it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you depict him being through every major conflict in the next 150 years in a way that's... in like a way that lets everything... It's like, it could be different movies, you know? Wolverine in the Civil War, Wolverine in World War I.
It just seems a missed opportunity that they just set it in like the 90s or the 80s, late 80s, early 90s is where it's supposed to be set, I think.
I mean, honestly, everything about this movie, it might as well just be set when the movie was made, you know?
Yeah, the only signature of the time is the cars, really.
Yeah, and even then, it's so subtle, you know? Like, it's there's never... They're walking around, even like Agent Zero, when he's running around, he has like an earpiece in.
Yeah.
Like, to, like, contact Stryker at base. Like, the helicopter... Like, sure, the vehicles look old, but the actual practical technology being used is completely of 2009.
Yeah, it's not very committed to its period piece thing.
Yeah, not at all committed to its period piece.
And it doesn't help that Logan dresses exactly the same as he does in the other movies.
Exactly, he doesn't get a new costume at all. That's
he gets the same costume.
Yeah, this is the origins of how he got that leather jacket. That honestly,
someone gave it to him.
In these previous movies, I've never looked at his leather jacket. I've never thought about it.
No, it's just a jacket. I didn't think there was some big origin story to it, and there isn't. It's just some other guy's jacket that he took.
Some other guy's son's jacket.
Yes.
Is his son dead? Is that the implication?
I don't know. If he isn't, he's going to be very sad because his lovely parents got murdered.
He lived in a barn. I just need to talk about the barn, Kyle.
Talk about the barn, Nathan. We're jumping ahead, but talk about the barn.
So we'll go back again, but this is it. We're doing it. So maybe I'm nitpicking, and I think I most certainly am nitpicking. But we cut to the exterior shot of like, I'm old people driving back to our house on the prairie, and we see a naked man bolting across their property and into their barn or their farm. You right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think the wife's like, I think we have a naked man in our barn, husband. So we're like, okay, we'll get the shotgun, we'll go and see and all that, and that's fine. We established that Wolverine has met this obtusely nice old couple that'll do anything.
Oh my god, they're too nice for this world.
Too nice for this world. Nicest people ever, right? And then after that, he's like, put on a rag so you don't scare the missus with your massive schlong. Your massive adamantium schlong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, after you've put that on, you come to the house, you can try on some of my son's clothes. And then we cut to, like, because the film wants to convey the passage of time, so a cheap way to do that is to cut to an exterior shot of the house at night with lights beaming out of it, right?
Yep.
It is the same set, building, whatever, exterior, royalty-free camera shot of the barn Wolverine ran into, but now it's being posed as the old couple's home.
Yeah, there's only one building in this field.
Yeah, it's the barn. And, like, did they live in the barn? That's not the implication the film gives. The film tries to imply the barn is a separate building. And then you see it's very clearly a house with multiple stories in it, just like the barn, because that's got upstairs lighting in it. But that's the barn he went into. We saw him run into the barn. Unless the barn's attached to the house, but that's kind of not what a barn is, that's like a garage for a house.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening, Kyle? Well,
maybe they just hired a really cheap architect, and the house and the barn are actually in completely different locations. They're super far away from each other, so they're not in the same frame, but they just look extremely similar.
It's entirely possible. Like, they've just got plug-and-play prefab structures.
Yeah.
Like, there's no home. It's all barn. It's all barn. Then, like, when Zero... So later on, Zero shows up because he's hunting him down. We are going to jump back to establish what is a Zero. But this is just to end the barn thing, right?
Yes.
He says Weapon X is in the barn. And I'm like, okay, but where's the house? Where's the... This is bothering me through all this because the old couple come into the barn and there's an exterior shot of him driving away from the barn. It's just the house again. It's the same set. I'm going crazy, Kyle. This is how shit the story is.
I mean, to be fair, I think this is a pretty bad consistency error. It's extremely confusing because they drive away and the barn explodes. I think. Yeah,
the barn does explode because they missile it, and then you can see maybe a tiny hut next to it. There is a small hut, but it's not big enough. It is.
Yeah, it's a shed. It's not a house.
Shed. Yeah, it's got that. They're living in that barn. Tell what is happening here,
Nathan, I don't have an answer for you.
It upsets me, Kyle.
No, I can tell.
Is it possible they have TARDIS tech?
I mean, it's possible because, as mentioned, a little trivia fact for you, these people are named after parts of the Canadian Avengers.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, so the guy is... Let me see, I noted it down somewhere. Right, yes. The guy is Guardian, who's like the Canadian equivalent of Captain America. And the lady is Vindicator, who I don't know. I think she's a telepath. Not in this movie, obviously. In this movie, they're just old people who die. But for some reason, they are named after members of the Canadian Avengers.
I had never heard of the Canadian Avengers. Is there like...
I don't think they're called the Canadian Avengers. They're called something like the Northern Defence or Northern Shield or something like that.
Northern Defence League. Like, this is like some far-right thing.
Alpha Force?
Alpha Force.
Something like that.
What, but why is... I thought the Avengers were just a global superhero team. Do they have regional offices?
They do have regional offices. There's also the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they can't be everywhere all at once, you know?
You would think
you gotta delegate.
Iron Man can fly around the planet quite fast.
Yeah, but, you know, you can't be in two places at once. Well, if there's two attacks happening at the same time.
That's a good point. It's a good point. I'm now in favour of branch offices.
There you go.
Who's the head of the Avengers Union? Who's like standing up for like Avengers' rights in the face of like greedy capitalist Mr. Stark?
It's Captain America.
Captain America's the head of the Union. Yeah. I was gonna say it's like Hawkeye. Give him something to do.
Anyway, shall we get back to the actual movie? Or are we done with barn drama?
Sure. I guess we're barn gates closed.
Because I think the best part of this movie probably is the opening credits montage through all the wars.
Yeah, it is the best part of the movie. Yeah.
Just the way it cuts, you see all these shots of Logan and Victor fighting through the Civil War, and then World War One, and then World War Two.
I really like seeing them in World War One and the Civil War, because something about trench warfare for people who are so focused on melee combat like they are, that is very sort of satisfying.
Yeah, and they're immortal, so, you know.
It's nice when they get out the boats at D-Day.
I will say it's very convenient that they're both immortal. I guess that's just luck.
I thought, in X2 we established that the gene comes down from the man, right? The male.
Do we establish that?
Yeah, in X2 where they have the coming out scene, and the family are speaking to Iceman, they're like, we blame ourselves or whatever, and then I think the mum says to the dad, don't blame yourself, and then Pyro's like, I think we established that the genome actually forms down from the male descendant of the family.
Oh, I thought he was just fucking with them.
Oh no, I completely believed them actually. No, am I just gullible?
I thought that was Pyro just being an asshole.
Oh, I believed that
because my understanding of the mutation is that it's basically random.
Oh, I thought it was true. I mean, I thought maybe it was inherent in all beings to be activated, but like maybe what kind of power set that you're destined to get, because genes are all passed down. It's all genetically descended, and I'd assumed that the Pyro was telling the truth, and that it does most likely come from the dad. And if they both share the same father but a different mother, that would make sense why they both got.
But they don't have the same powers; they just have similar power sets.
They've got complete health regeneration, and they just have.
They don't age.
They don't age, and they have. Well, they age to like what 38.
30. Yeah.
They age to just under 40, I think.
Yeah.
And
they age to however old Hugh Jackman is at the time.
They have hand claws.
Well, one of them has claws. And
one of them is a male Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah. Well, he just has sort of normal animal claws. He's definitely more animal themed than Wolverine is.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I would grant you that.
And he loves murder.
He's just a bad guy. We get to like as far as Vietnam in this intro, and he's just gunning down innocents and trying to rape people.
Is that implied?
Yeah, so just before they get put into the firing squad, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like surrounded by US soldiers, it's because he like picked up a lady and tried to throw her into like a bedroom or something. And an American...
Oh dear. I didn't pick up on that detail.
Yeah, because so the reason they're like both back to back surrounded by the American soldiers before they get put to the firing squad is because Victor tries to murder an American soldier for the American soldier saying, hey, don't assault this Vietnamese lady. Don't commit a war crime, And he's
dear.
Stand down, soldier. Yeah, this was all right in the fabric of the montage.
I must have looked away for 5 seconds and missed that.
Yeah, he must have taken a note, because, just that's how they end up in the firing squad. How did you think they ended up in the firing squad?
I don't know, just Victor being an asshole. I didn't pick up on the exact details.
Yeah,
he
picked up a Vietnamese. Yeah, he's evil. He's just a bad.
No,
it's like
I will say though, Lee Schreiber's pretty good in this.
He's great, much better than the Sabretooth we had in X1.
Yes, who apparently is the one coming back. So yeah,
who is apparently the one coming back. Yeah, I wonder if they'll address that in any way.
I'm sure Deadpool will make a joke about it, like, oh hey, Sabretooth, you look different from the last time I saw you.
We are recording this the day before Deadpool and Wolverine launches in the UK. With any luck, we'll release this tomorrow, and I'm seeing it tonight, so I'm thankful I can record this in genuine, complete obliviousness to what I'm going into. This is just perfect timing. We couldn't have arranged this any better if we tried, really.
But yeah, he's evil.
So they can't be shot, killed, they can't be killed by the American army, so they're just locked up. And Stryker shows up and be like, hey, I think you're part of the team.
Yeah, he looks a bit different from the last time we saw him.
He's not got as much weight. He's less stressed now. This is him like when he's got purpose and swing.
I mean, this guy doesn't have nearly as much charisma as Brian Cox.
No. Of course not. But I know this guy is Ludendorff from Wonder Woman.
It is. I knew I recognised him from somewhere. Yes, it's Ludendorff.
It's Ludendorff from Wonder Woman.
Returning character.
Returning character. This is Hades.
Uh-huh.
Is it Hades or Ares?
It was Ares, but it also wasn't Ares.
Yeah, it also wasn't Ares. It was a misdirection. It was Remus Lupin. Yeah. He was just a drug addict that liked sniffing super strength serum.
Yeah, and so Stryker recruits them for his secret team of mutants. And this is all still prologue, basically.
All still. Everything right up until we get the 6 years later time gap, as Kyle mentioned earlier, is all just bleeding from the montage.
Yeah. So they join this... Is it Task Force X? I don't think they ever call it that.
I think it is Task
Force X is
that's
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Confusingly.
It's the equivalent of Task Force X. It's like a meta-human super team ran by Stryker to do things for the US government that normally...
We've got a whole pile of weird actors on this team.
Yeah, we have Will.i.am.
Will.i.am of Black Eyed Peas fame in one of his only acting roles.
What's his character?
He's black.
What? What? What's the name of the character, Kyle?
Oh, John, I think.
What's the superhero name?
I think it's Wraith.
Wraith. Oh, this is this very Apex Legends all of a sudden.
He can teleport, or he can kind of go invisible, and I think he can teleport.
He can he teleports around. Yeah, I think that's the power.
He basically is Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler without the Riz.
I mean, he tries to have the Riz, but unfortunately, Will.i.am is not a very good actor.
Yeah, he's just being Will.i.am in the movie with Hugh Jackman. This might be the first time I ever saw Will.i.am, but I think I wasn't aware that he was an artist. I just thought he was an actor.
Yeah, no, I think this is supposed to be his big acting break, right?
Oh, yeah, this is a lot of people's big breaks, Kyle.
Well, we also have Mary and/or Pippin. I can't remember which.
This is Mary.
Right, this is Mary. Okay. It's Dominic Moynihan. I can't remember which one he is.
Pippin. He's Pippin. He's Pippin.
He's the one in Star Wars.
He's the one in Lost.
He's the more famous of the two.
No, he's not. How dare you? The other one shows up in Still Game.
Oh, of course. That's the peak of success.
It is for anyone in Scotland.
Yeah, he's on the team. He's the same as that kid who can activate the TV by blinking. He has like electricity powers.
Yeah, maybe it's like his dad.
Maybe so. We have, of course, Ryan Reynolds is on the team.
I'd just like to correct the records. He's Mary.
I was thinking, because in my notes I thought he was Pippin, but then I'm thinking about it more. No, he's Mary.
Yeah, no, definitely Mary. Yeah, we have the Blob.
The Blob, pre-Blobness.
Pre-Blobness, he's just like a superpowered individual.
He just has super strength, I guess.
Yeah, just generic strongman. He looks like he belongs in the Expendables. He looks like
he does. Yes.
He looks like a.
He's a Dolph Lundgren type.
Dolph Lundgren, yeah. I was going to say Brad Dourif, but yeah, Dolph Lundgren, that's it.
And yeah, we have Wade Wilson, whose powers are he can cut bullets with a sword.
He's so subdued in this movie. I think given that where that character went with the same actor, it's very interesting to see this is where it all started. I think it's like a historical artifact. This movie is almost more interesting for how it introduces and treats Deadpool than any other effect it's had on the X-Men legacy. Because it's not
100%.
It's not like this movie ruined Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine went on to do bigger and better things after this film, right?
Listen, Hugh Jackman's providing a consistent performance as always in this movie.
Yes, Hugh Jackman, not the problem with this movie whatsoever, right? But I do think that it's interesting that the only legacy this movie has left us is Deadpool.
Yeah.
And he's so sedated in this movie. Like, Ryan Reynolds doesn't want to be here, but he's giving a performance to pretend that he does.
Yes.
I think when I was younger, I didn't even know this was Deadpool. I don't even think when I first saw Deadpool in 2016 that I knew that was who this was. I think maybe after the film came out, people were like, "Oh, I can't believe that this is where it started." And I was like, "Wait, that's supposed to be Deadpool?" Like, I didn't know. Again, just not a comic book fan, and if you didn't, there was a Deadpool game on the Xbox 360, but if you didn't play that, like, your reference to Deadpool is this movie, and then the 2016 movie, and that's it at that point, you know?
Well, now having got the 2016 movie, you can understand why the Deadpool fans were a little bit upset by this movie.
Yeah. This movie has no place for Deadpool in it.
This movie has no place for a lot of characters.
Yeah. He has one good line. When so it's a good line relative to the age rating of the movie, right? It might not be an authentically good Deadpool line, but they're in the elevator going up to take out the drug kingpin man in Africa, and the elevator gets turned off, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm stuck in an elevator with 5 guys on a high protein diet." You know,
dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true. Yeah, and then he's telling Stryker or Wolverine says, "Do you ever shut up, Wade?" or whatever, you know, because they're playing with that Merc with a mouth thing, and he's like, "Oh, have you ever told you that like the green is really your color? Like it brings out your eyes because there's like a green hue in the elevator." And that's it.
Yeah, and then after that, he dies off screen, except he doesn't.
That small interaction is the only bit he has in the movie that's of any humour. Apart from that, he gets out the elevator, does some sword swinging, and just deflects a lot of bullets and gets up to the boss man.
No, there's a very important line from Stryker where he says, "Oh, if we got rid of that mouth, you'd be the perfect soldier."
I mean, he does seem combat efficient, you know? It's all foreshadowing. Like, here's the thing. I don't think this movie was something they made up as they went along. They made choices here.
No, of course. Yeah, that line is obviously foreshadowing. It's extremely on-the-nose foreshadowing, in fact.
Yeah, it absolutely is, right? So it's... I get it, the desire to maybe... They're like, how do you adapt Deadpool? What the fuck is a Deadpool, you know? This
is, 2009? We're still in the era where comic book movies can't be silly.
This is in the Jonah Hex era, you know?
Yeah. And this is contemporary with Batman Begins.
This is contemporary with Batman, the Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, yeah.
This is like Iron Man territory, right? And it's crazy that this movie was coming out when the MCU was going, right?
Yes. It is weird to think that we've now entered the MCU era.
Yeah. Isn't it? Isn't it really?
Because this still feels like a 2000s X-Men movie. Yeah,
this feels like it might have come out in like 2007, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, actually, Iron Man 1 had come out and they were making Iron Man 2, you know? Incredible Hulk was out, you know? MCU was on the move. It wasn't Disney property yet, it was still Paramount, but oh my lord, you know, it was a thing. And now it's all come back around again. Hugh Jackman's now part of the MCU, baby, kind of, maybe.
I guess you can tell us tomorrow.
I guess I can tell us tomorrow. I won't tell the show. I won't tell the show. Because we will be reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine by the time we get there. Yeah, so we sort of just forget about Deadpool and we now focus on Stryker wanting Victor to commit war crimes because they're looking for adamantium, Kyle. That's what they're looking for. Yeah,
and Victor is pro-war crimes. And I guess Logan has never noticed this about his best friend and brother.
He was, because he saw what he did in Vietnam, right? And then
I just find it weird that Logan agreed to be on this Black Ops team in the first place. What did you think you were going to do, Logan?
I find it weird that he decided to just drop everything his brother had done.
Yes.
Or maybe he just believed it's a new start and Victor won't do that anymore. But apparently not. He's now just been with a team of enablers.
I think a big issue with this movie is that it will not allow Logan to ever be wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Logan is always justified in whatever he does. He never does a single bad thing in this movie.
He's never seen to kind of go along with this and go, this doesn't look right. He's just like, no, this is bad.
Yeah. Because you remember the scene in X2 where he's talking to Stryker and he's like, we were doing all this stuff together. And, you know, he was really heavily implying that Logan was pro all this evil stuff they were doing. But that's not the case at all in this movie.
I mean, I can believe that Brian Cox, as Stryker, would just lie to him. He's like, he's not got his memories. Like, I can just say what the fuck I like and get him to come around.
Doesn't that make it less interesting, though?
Oh, no, it makes it less interesting, but I'm just trying to be in the defense of this movie. I don't think it's this movie's fault. Because I have in my notes here quite a bit that I contend Stryker to just be a liar. Because there's a key point near the end of this movie where he says, you know, you're with the last piece, Logan, your Weapon X trial to see if we could put the adamantium into Wade Wilson or not, see if he could survive it using your regenerative health things. But then what? Afterwards, we still kidnap Scott Summers to get his eye beams for Deadpool, and we still take will.i.am's DNA to give Deadpool teleportation powers. So it's very clear that Logan was not the last part of the puzzle. You're just lying. And also, why are you kidnapping mutants when you can just take their DNA? It seems like it would be a lot easier to just unconscious them and then take their DNA.
Well, I guess he's doing like other experiments on them as well, just while he has them.
Is he?
I don't know, that's his deal. He likes experimenting on mutants.
Is he? That's not made clear to me at all in this movie, except to keep them all.
Well,
I guess maybe he also wants to kill all the mutants, so maybe like gathering them all up so
Yeah.
Deadpool can murder them all.
I
Because
guess.
this is
Or
the Deadpool, Kyle.
they were so clever because they're using their actual use of the term Deadpool. Very good. See what you did there.
It's a gene pool, Kyle, of mutant powers to kill mutants. It's the Deadpool. Oh.
Well, no, a Deadpool literally is like betting on when people die. I think is what a Deadpool actually is.
Oh yeah, so that's what they use it in the next in Deadpool 2016.
Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, it was almost like it's a gene pool that's made
Yeah.
for death. It's a death pool. Really, would be more appropriate.
Yeah.
Shit, it's shit, Kyle.
The Logan refuses to commit war crimes and he walks away in Vietnam. Or no, Africa. They're in Africa at that point.
Africa.
And he gets back to the Rocky Mountains, in quotation marks.
I'm gonna let you go off here, Kyle. Go off.
Oh my god. So they have this big thing. It says 6 years later, we're in the Rocky Mountains in Canada. And it's so clearly not the Rocky Mountains. And I can tell instantly because I went there last year, Nathan. But look, even you understand that why these don't look anything like the Rocky Mountains, right?
Is it because people can live on them?
No, it's because they're dry. The Rocky Mountains are not dry mountains. They're absolutely covered in trees.
What? This is a lumberyard that they're.
Okay, no, there's different shots. The shot specifically when they're in their house.
In their home? Right, okay.
At their house, when they're on like that big like cliffs with the big jaggy mountains in the
gorgeous.
side.
It's so gorgeous.
It's very pretty, but that's because it's New Zealand. Yeah. It's not the Rockies.
Yeah.
It looks like Lord of the Rings. So it doesn't look like the Rockies.
I knew that the Rockies were supposed to be this kind of moist sort of foresty environment that like you would go hill climbing through in like the woods, right? I knew that to be true. I believe the Rocky Mountains also part of the Scottish mountain ranges. You know, tectonic plate shifts and all that when everything was Pangea. Now, obviously the Scottish Highlands have all been completely stripped with things, you know, because of building navy fleets and whatnot back in the 1700s.
Sure, yeah.
But it's supposed to be the same landscape, so I have like a good frame of reference for what it should look like. And then because they've done so many other shots of him working in the lumberyard and all that, I think they do an okay job. You know, if you've never been to Canada, Kyle, yeah, I understand it's your country of living and you've been there.
I don't understand because I looked it up and apparently some of the shots are filmed in Canada. Like when they get stopped on the bridge by the two assholes who are arguing or whatever. That is in Canada, and you can see by the trees that it is Canada.
Maybe all the lumberyard stuff's in Canada. Maybe it's just the house. It's just the house.
But to me, that made it more obvious because when they're driving along, the trees have become different. They've gone from deciduous to the other type of tree, and that's not how nature works, Nathan.
I love that in this review of X-Men Origins Wolverine, we're talking about deciduous trees.
Think about the deciduous trees, Nathan. And I have to wonder, did they just think that the Rocky Mountains weren't scenic enough? Why did they do this?
Maybe they don't. They want, because when you're making a movie of like people that go and do location scouting and stuff, they saw this home and they wanted to film in this home. That's it.
This house, by the way, must be like $1 million at least for a view like that.
More than that, God, yeah.
It's like it's isolated in the middle of the mountains on this like it's like at the precipice of a mountain.
It almost looks like it shouldn't be real. Like it's absurdly pretty. Yeah. And what, a lumberjack and a school teacher just live there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous that they could possibly live in this house.
Yeah, it's so Hollywood that it's this is where my suspension of disbelief didn't work. You know.
It looks like somewhere that James Bond would hide out, like a secret base of the MI6.
This looks like the place where they land the helicopter at the end of Die Another Day, where him and Jinx are in their little diamond hut.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly, yeah. It's not a place where a lumberjack lives.
No, it's not a place where a lumberjack lives. And see the elementary school she teaches at? This doesn't fit. That looks like a little small village church.
Yeah. That makes sense for Logan trying to live low.
Everyone who lives there votes for the Canadian Conservative Party. They've got
Oh, for sure.
They've got low classroom numbers, Kyle. Their kids are getting good attention, and they all work manual labor. But they're all a bunch of gun nuts.
Oh, Logan is a man's man because he works at a lumber yard.
He smokes cheap cigars.
Oh, we didn't even mention the last member of the team is Zero. I totally forgot.
We spoke about Zero earlier on, but I guess we can back.
He's Hawkeye. He's Deadshot, or he's got super shoot powers.
This film, at first I thought this film would give me the impression that if this movie was made today, it would look like he belongs in a John Wick movie. I actually think what he belongs in is a Blade movie. If you think about all the techno fight and whatnot that happens in like Blade 2 specifically, the Guillermo del Toro one, where it's like Ron Perlman and they're all part of like a vampire hunting super team to kill the even worse vampires, This Zero looks like he belongs on that team, specifically that team.
Yeah, I mean, this is the issue with people who never miss, is it's actually quite hard to make that really cinematic. You have to be a pretty good filmmaker to make a guy who never misses actually look cool.
They kind of do it with Hawkeye.
They manage it sometimes. I'm not saying it can't be done, and I would say John Wick is a good example of a guy who's super good with guns being cool, right?
And he misses a lot, but he just never runs out of ammo.
Yeah. But yeah, Zero, this is the thing too with sending him after Logan, is Logan can't die by bullets, so it's kind of pointless.
So when they do the Weapon X procedure, Kyle, and then they send Zero out after him, and Zero dies in the attempt, and kills everyone in the barn and whatnot. He frames Logan for the murders, even though it's a bullet wound that they'll find in the body and not claws.
Logan blows him up in the iconic cool guys look explosion shot.
Walk-away shot. One of Stryker's scientist man walk up to him and says, Zero was never going to defeat Wolverine. Only an adamantium bullet can do that. Why not give Zero an adamantium bullet before he leaves?
It's also not true, because adamantium bullets don't kill him.
Yeah, they just erase his brain. It's like they will break through the shell of the adamantium skeleton, because the adamantium doesn't grow back, but
right,
the skull and the brain tissue will all regenerate. It's just
so does he just have like a weak spot in his forehead now?
It's just So there's a hole. There's two holes in his head now going forward. Well,
I assume the bone grows back, but just not the adamantium.
Yeah, so there's two bits of bone exposed on his head. Yeah, absolutely. Which is something I want to bring up when we get to Wolverine at some point, because there's stuff that happens there with that losing adamantium that just sort of is fine later on.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the dealio here. He's immune. Like, what is Zero going to do?
Well, that bothers me too, because later on when he uses the adamantium bullets, the other scientist lady is like, that's not going to kill him. And then Stryker says, it maybe won't kill him, but it will erase his memory. How do you know that? You're just making that a very broad assumption there that'll work, which it does.
The brain's pretty resilient.
Good for you, but...
For any fans of The Boys, there's a character in this season of The Boys called Sage, and she is just the highest IQ in the world. She's just a genius. She could achieve anything, solve all the world's problems,
Right.
But for various reasons, like she just likes to game everything out and sort of sit back. And the only way she can bear to be around people that are so much dumber than her, such as other superheroes in the show, she lobotomizes herself because her brain regrows. That's like, along with her being super smart, her brain regenerates if you cut parts of it out.
Okay.
But when she lobotomizes herself to make herself like super dumb, like that gives herself the mental capacity of an infant, when her brain regenerates, all her memories are fine again. She's back to complete power. Like, she doesn't have any amnesia. Is it just because I've watched that recently, because The Boys season 4 just concluded? That's very much at the forefront of my mind watching this. We're talking about, shooting him in the brain, he'll lose all his memories. Well, there's other fictitious materials out there where that doesn't happen,
Yeah. It's part of the prequel problem too, is that Logan has to lose his memories at some point, and they don't do it at the obvious point, which is when he gets the adamantium claws, because they want him to have those for most of the movie. It just happens at the end because we need it to happen.
Is that a thing in the comic books where he's lost his memory?
Yeah, it usually is.
Yeah. when's the point of that? Because he shot in the head with adamantium bullet? Like, because I don't want to critique too much of the film's story because they were being faithful to the comic books that everyone loves, you know?
I think it usually is just during the procedure when he became Adamantium Man.
What would have been the issue with him waking up as like just a massive rage monster, and he's just trying to survive, and he's like, oh, these people are trying to kill me, I don't know who they are, but I gotta kill them back, you know?
I think that would have been a more interesting movie.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know who these people are that are trying to kill me, but I gotta kill them back, and then he like does a bit of detective work. And he's trying to
that would make the nice old people scene make more sense, because he's this like guy who doesn't even know who he is, but he gets taken in by these kind strangers, and he begins to believe in goodness of humanity or something. I don't know.
Then there's like a This should have been the opening.
Yes, this should have been the origins.
Cut the brother stuff. Much as Leo Schreiber's wonderful in this movie, he's good. I would like to see him again. Yeah,
but his character motivations make no sense.
Oh, he wants the adamantium. That's why he's working for Stryker.
I think he only wanted that because so he could fight Logan, though. I think he just wants to fight Logan.
But then why is he helping Stryker at all? I thought it was...
I have no idea. I have no idea why he's helping Stryker.
Just because he's a psychopath?
Yeah, because Stryker lets him murder people.
Also question.
Uh-huh.
So in X2, Lady Deathstrike has adamantium fingernails.
Yes.
Would that be what Sabretooth gets? And how does that work, getting adamantium fingernails? Because it's not like it's the reason he gets adamantium. The reason
she doesn't have fingernails. They come out of her fingers, like actually.
Oh, like, they're like knives out of her fingers. Yeah, they're part of the bone structure. So it wouldn't really work for him, would it? Because he may get an adamantium skeleton, but he would still have fingernail material claws. It's not like Wolverine.
It doesn't matter any because the procedure won't work on him because reasons.
But because why? The entire movie has proven that they are one-for-one likeness, except in their expression of melee combat.
Yeah, but no, his healing factor is less good than Logan's, I guess.
Since when?
Because it is.
So silly. Did you like the bit where after he goes to hunt down Stryker, Kyle, and he goes speaks to the Blob, and he calls him Bub, and he's like, "Did you call me Blob?" And he gets thrown across the room.
I mean, that only makes sense if his comic book character name is already Blob, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's you just think you misheard him because that's not a thing you call people.
Will.i.am said he's very self-conscious about his weight, so you know.
It's so weird too because he goes from like a normal Dolph Lundgren type man to like a massive blubbery guy. That's not a normal amount of weight gain. That's
even for a mutant.
Even for a mutant, you can't just get that from eating. That's a mutation. That is.
Yeah, that's a mutation, right?
But in this universe, it's just because he got an eating disorder.
We should have mentioned, by the way, that Wolverine's love interest, the school teacher's dead. Victor.
Oh yeah.
Victor shows up in the woods and murders her. Maybe
he's very theatrical about it because he goes to Logan's place of work and leaves a decapitated wolf in the forest just outside of his work, so that Logan will smell it, see the claw marks, and realize that the Victor's in the area, and then go running through the woods to somehow know where his girlfriend was randomly along the road.
It's like he picked up Victor's scent on the wolf head.
Maybe.
It's that I can trace it because Wolverine is an expert tracker in this movie in a way that I don't believe he's been depicted as being in the other films. Maybe that's a skill he lost when after getting shot in the head that he never regained.
Maybe so. It's really pissing down with rain right now.
I can hear it.
It's going to be. Maybe I should just include a note that says, "Hey guys, it's raining really heavily right now, so I'm not going to be able to fix that."
We don't have the noise suppression technology.
No. So Nathan, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
What was the point of Mary in this movie?
Lightbulb Man?
Lightbulb Man?
To introduce Victor as being the killer going around killing their whole team.
Right, okay, that was it. He was just to be fridged, I suppose.
He was just to be fridged, Kyle. You got it, Kyle.
Because it's not like anyone even cares that he's dead. Logan's not like super broken up about it or anything.
Yeah, no one's upset about it. It's to mention that Wade's dead, someone's going around killing the team, and it's Dominic Monaghan, Kyle.
Yeah, it is Dominic Monaghan. And that's exciting, isn't it?
Sure, I guess. You know what? It smells like government to me.
I mean, it is government.
Yeah, Wolverine's not wrong. It does smell like government. I just didn't care about Dominic Monaghan's character. He means nothing to this movie.
Of course.
What, he lets the elevator still work after the drug warlord stops it?
He's hustling people with a light bulb where they can't turn it off by unplugging it.
Technically, that jock douchebag did win, though.
Yeah, he turned it off. He smashed it.
He smashed
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, give him the
He
prize.
gets a prize for that.
Give him the prize, Dominic Monaghan. And then he lives in a caravan that's like a cage of awfulness.
He has like 1 million light bulbs hanging from the roof.
He has like a model train set. It has alarm clocks that like he can all activate using his powers, but they're all really loud and noisy.
I don't know why he does this.
Why would he want to live in that place?
I don't know.
It's just to underline, remember what his power set is, guys. Like, it's important. He's about to die anyway. Is that a power? Does Victor steal his DNA and give it to Deadpool?
They introduce this whole big team of mutants and then don't know what to do with any of them. It's the same with Will.i.am.
At least Will.i.am goes with Logan for an extra scene to
and
New
to
Orleans
get murders
or something.
Yeah, they go to New Orleans to pick up Gambit, who's also in this movie for some reason.
Not Channing Tatum, though.
Not Channing Tatum, it's some other guy.
Very crazy that for so long they spoke about Channing Tatum doing an X-Men Origins Gambit type movie, and not in fact this actor who actually portrayed Gambit in this film.
Yeah. The only live action Gambit we've ever seen, I think.
Yep, correct.
Even though he's one of the most popular mutants, but whatever.
I have no frame of reference for Gambit. I've never engaged with any material that Gambit's in.
I mean, I only know the visual, right?
Yes.
So
Purple Man.
Yeah. He can like charge things with kinetic energy, I think is his power.
Yeah, pink kinetic energy, and the aesthetic that he chooses for that is throwing around playing cards.
Yes. Well, he's a hustler, right?
Apparently.
But
he's a Fortnite skin.
His place in this movie is bizarre because Logan shows up and says, "You escaped from the island. You're going to tell me where it is so I can murder them all." And Gambit says no for no reason.
It's because he's got dog tags. He doesn't trust people with dog tags because the last people that took him to the island were people with dog tags.
Right, okay, so he thinks it's a trick. And then Victor shows up, and Logan is clearly trying to murder Victor, but then Gambit comes in and basically saves Victor. Just watch that one play out, my dude.
Yeah, he's very annoyed at the whole series of events happening. He's like, mutants fighting? I hate mutants fighting. I will join the fight. Also, Will.i.am's dead now.
Will.i.am gets killed, yeah, pretty easily. Victor reaches in while he's teleporting and breaks his spine because he's predictable.
Yes, so Will.i.am sort of teleports atop Victor's hand in midair. And ends up,
I don't know.
It's amazing that he didn't materialise actually through Victor's hand and explode Victor's arm as opposed to materializing around Victor, because inside Victor's arm, as all humans, there are void spaces inside us where there's nothing.
There's no guts or organs in there.
But there's like space where there's guts and organs, right? But in his hand, there will be like a section that's just meant to be a space for flexibility, so there's nothing really there unless you're flexing your muscles.
Uh-huh.
There's a void under the flesh there, right, where there's nothing. Why is Will.i.am not materializing within the void underneath the flesh? Why is he not exploding Victor's hand?
Because it's cool if Victor breaks his spine, isn't it?
It's very, very cool, actually. I'm just shitting on it for the sake of it in this moment in time. I actually didn't mind this death at all.
I didn't mind, but I also didn't care. I wasn't like, oh no, Will.i.am, my favourite character.
Whose name we don't even know.
It's John.
Surely it's not just John. John Wraithman?
I'm pretty sure his name is, I think it's John Wraith.
John Wraithman? Okay.
No, not John Wraithman, just John Wraith.
John Wraithman.
John Wraithman.
Yes, So, we're going to the island and Gambit's flying us there, isn't he?
Yeah, we're flying there in a plane. The island is in a nuclear reactor.
But it's like an island connected to the mainland by just like a piece of city infrastructure.
It's like a normal bridge. Yeah, it's not that it's some super isolated place or anything.
The implication would be like it's an island like Kong Skull Island or something like that, or Dr. Evil's evil volcano lair. It's not. It's the equivalent of like a suburban outcropping in the island of Manhattan.
Yeah, well, they're hiding in plain sight, you see, which is why they don't have any radar set up to detect planes.
Okay, because of all the domestic airlines flying around, yeah.
Is it actually a working nuclear reactor, or is the entire nuclear reactor just a front?
They have a weird line that was like, no one wants to come snooping around here because everyone's worried that they'll become freaks with radioactivity, which I don't know if is supposed to be some piece of commentary on how, well, they are in fact keeping mutants here and they are freaks, ha ha ha.
I don't know.
Because it's the 80s.
I mean, one of the smokestacks gets blown up by a spinning laser head, and it doesn't seem to cause any sort of meltdown.
I think it's a defunct place, Kyle.
Okay, it's not an actual working nuclear reactor.
No. Or it could be a gas plant.
Okay.
I have no frame of reference for what this place would have been in its prime, except to say...
It doesn't have very good security.
It looks like something you would build in City Skylines.
Yeah, but Logan sneaks in by just cutting a regular door lock.
I mean, he's got an adamantium claw. He's going to cut through literally anything.
But this is a super secret government facility. You'd think there'd be some sort of biometric
they have
scanners
adamantium detectors.
Or any kind of detectors, or just a man with a detector who can see him sneaking in. There's no security on this building whatsoever. It seems like Stryker's just working here with some scientists.
Well, he's now killed the general. He has government support withdrawn from him, so maybe the army has left, He kills the supervising general, by the way. He's
with the biggest scalpel in the world.
Yeah, the supervising general's mentioned quite a few times in my notes, but he...
Well, we have to establish that Stryker's evil, okay?
Yeah, so he's killed his government funding overseers to fulfill his project because they're like, we know about your son.
The government are not the bad guys, okay? The government is only bad when we've got a few bad apples, you know what I mean?
We know about your son, Stryker. And
yes.
He's like, it's got nothing to do with my son. Leave my son out of it. Even though
his son is in the background frozen.
Yeah, at one point, Stryker swears on the life of his son that he's not swearing to Wolverine, which is I actually think it's quite smart. It's like one of those things where the audience is ahead of the movie because we're like, well, we know what your son's life means to you.
Yeah. It's one of the few times where being a prequel is actually beneficial to the movie.
One of the very, very, very few moments.
But yeah, this is also where we reveal that Logan's girlfriend, she wasn't dead after all. She was faking it. And that sure is a twist, isn't it?
She's been working with Stryker.
And Nathan, what does this twist add to the movie? Please explain to me why this matters at all.
Why does this matter at all? Well, Kyle, it's for him to have his third act beatdown moment where he goes away then comes back stronger. It's for him to be like, oh, to hell with this.
That happens in 2 minutes.
Yeah. And then it's also to find out that, she's actually not all that bad despite loving him for however many years or months because they're living together.
It's like a triple twist.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It says 6 years later after Wolverine leaves Stryker, right? Now,
yeah.
I'm not saying that him and Kayla have been together for 6 years, but they've been together long enough where they're now living together and very comfortable that they might as well be married.
Yeah.
So they've been together at least a couple of years, one would assume.
I would assume so,
and in none of that time where even though he's told her about all the wars he's lived through, she knows he's a mutant, she's never thought to come forth to him and say, hey, listen, I'm a mutant as well, but Stryker, your ex-boss, by the way, he has my sister. You think we could go break her out? No, you're just gonna continue to fool this man who you claimed actually you genuinely did love. You were just in a hard position,
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, okay, well, listen, I brought Logan here. Can I now have my sister? And Stryker's like, it's not that simple. Why is it not that simple?
I would point out, too, that, if she's worried about them executing her sister, I don't think that's going to go too well, because her sister can turn her skin into diamonds.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, this is probably the last movie where you can sort of gleam together some continuity here.
It's stretching pretty thin at this point.
It's stretching pretty thin at this point, but when we start getting into the X-Men First Class, you're going to be like, what the hell is even this?
Yeah, because her sister is Emma Frost.
Sure. Why not?
And I do know that Emma Frost shows up in one of the First Class movies.
Sure, why not? Why not, Kel?
Sure.
Why not? Anyone can show up in any movie. I'd say, because we haven't actually spoke a lot about the continuity of the X-verse, as it were, because even though we know that it's all over the place, broadly speaking, they haven't really done much to contradict themselves
yet. We've only been doing the trilogy so far, and those are all fairly consistent.
3 movies and 1 prequel, right? Nothing's contradicted anything yet, really.
Well, there's been some minor contradictions, like Beast showing up in X2 as a normal human man.
That's a small retcon, Kyle.
It's a small retcon, but yes, overall it's been fairly consistent.
We had Trask show up in X-Men Last Stand.
Yeah, pay attention to him.
Pay attention to him, boy. Trask is going places. But yeah, so we're speaking to Stryker, and this is where earlier on I mentioned Stryker's a liar, and he's like, you were the last piece of the puzzle. The reason we gave you the adamantium was to see if you could survive the experiments, because we're going to give you a regenerative DNA to Wade or something, and if you can survive it, then so will he. Even though apparently Victor won't be able to survive it, and that'll give him the adamantium body.
Yeah, because I guess maybe Wade has his healing factor. I don't know.
Maybe, but who knows?
Probably, maybe should have established that earlier in the movie.
It would have been interesting to establish that. But he says, I needed your powers for the pool, the mutant killer, the Deadpool, right? It's so silly.
And then Logan just walks away because I guess he's not after revenge anymore, even though arguably tricking him for several years into thinking he was in love when really he was a spy is worse than killing off your girlfriend. I don't know. I don't see why this removes his bloodlust in any way.
As the old man said to Logan, Kyle, a man looking for blood, in my experience, people looking for blood, they usually find it. I think this is his change of heart to stop being so angry and bloodthirsty. This is where he's going to take the path of peace.
But why?
He's not looking for blood, Kyle, because he remembers what the old man said.
Oh, it's because Logan can never be wrong in this movie at all. He always has to be a perfect good boy.
Oh, yeah. That too. That could also have something to do with it.
Because he hears his fake, not girlfriend, actually girlfriend screaming, and he comes rushing right back in. And his girlfriend tries to influence Victor, and Victor says, your mind tricks don't work on me. Why? Why not? Why are you immune?
Did she ever... I believe that Wolverine was also immune, was he not?
Well, maybe. She says she never used it, but that doesn't mean she...
I know, but there's
he's immune.
On the bridge earlier on with the assholes, she tells Logan to stay in the car, and he doesn't, and then she's like, oh, do you think your powers...
Well, she has to be touching someone for it to work.
Yeah, but she could have just grabbed Logan's arm in the car or something. Now, she says it doesn't work, and I know at the time, we're supposed to think that he's just joking about how much of a flirty people person she is, that she can convince people to do what she wants. It's not because she's a mutant. But I would assume...
If her influence powers don't work on Logan, then why would you send her as a spy to get together with Logan? What's the point?
Because she's such a nice
Just send
person.
a normal spy.
Yeah, well, send a normal spy, or you could send this person who's just as good as a normal spy, plus has got a little bit extra for any other people that might pop up. It's whatever. It's all silly, Kyle.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Kyle.
Uh-huh.
Kayla says to Logan, they have my sister. Logan then says, where? And then she just starts running towards, that's in the same room as them, a massive cage full of mutants. Yeah.
Well, Nathan, Logan is a master tracker, remember?
Master tracker, Kyle, who can't see a cage full of mutants that's right next to where he's standing. Because this whole film was done on green screen, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why Victor wouldn't survive the adamantium process, but I also don't know why Wolverine is intermittently forgetting when he's a tracker.
Do you like the shot, though, where Naruto runs through all the cages and breaks them?
Very cool. Very cool. This film gets a massive round of applause from me.
I always love it when there's a huge pile of mutants and none of them do anything. They just sort of huddle in a corner, even though they presumably all have super good powers that could be very useful in an escape attempts.
I mean, that's why we see Emma Frost use her frosty diamond powers, and we see Scott Summers use his eye-beams to kill some guards. That's it.
Yeah, but there was like a frost lady in there. There was a guy who was sort of wobbling around, teleporting. There's all sorts of powers going on in those cages.
Yeah, the film doesn't have time for this. It's like, this reminded me of, now the context is quite different, but the actual scenario is quite similar. Have you seen Big Trouble in Little China?
I have not seen Big Trouble in Little China.
So Big Trouble is a John Carpenter film. It's a really good film starring Kurt Russell. And there's a bit where they find like a place where they're basically hiding people that are victims of sex trafficking underneath like Chinese evil man's corporate front for like a whatever it is.
Is this the aforementioned Big Trouble?
This is the Big Trouble in Little China. Well, yeah, it was all about like magic and stuff. It's a great movie, right? If anyone listens to see Big Trouble in Little China, it's like one of John Carpenter's best films. It's really, really good. And they're running around trying to. It's like Kurt Russell. It's also got what's her name from Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country, who's from Sex and the City, Kim Cattrall. Okay. It's the two of them, Kurt Russell and Kim Cattrall, and some other actress whose names I forget, who've broken into the corporate front of this business, and then they go to the basement and find all the people that are victims of sex trafficking and try to break them out. And as they keep running around, they've got all these huddled, scared people with them, and as they're about to run through a door to get out, the superpower baddies show up, you know, and then you've got to go, we'll go round the other way. It's the same as like the Phantom Menace, where they're running to the throne room, and then Darth Maul shows up, and the old cartoons stop in front of one another, and then they need to split up whilst one, in Phantom Menace's case, two people stay behind to fight the actual baddie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comparing this movie to the Phantom Menace, Kel. That's what I'm doing.
I think it comes out unfavourable in that comparison.
Yeah, well, that's that. This is Gavin Hood's fault.
This movie doesn't have any commentary on the rise of fascism, Nathan.
It is commentary on big military complex.
It's commentary on brainwashing and mind control. I enjoy that terrible Deadpool is controlled via text prompts.
Yes,
You type it on a keyboard and it says engage on the keyboard.
Yeah, you hit decapitate.
Yep.
I do like his big swords, his big arms, single beam arm swords.
Do you?
Because they're made.
I think this is one of the truly most awful designs in any comic book movie ever.
Well, I mean,
it's just so stupid.
I think in terms of a utility power set, it's quite good because you don't need to worry about dropping it. It's part of your body. You're not going to drop it. It's made of adamantium, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just, I think the blades just look quite cool. And like they're very long. They're very, very long. I actually don't know. I actually think that, I believe this to have been a threat that could have killed Wolverine.
Sure.
I look at this and think that is a legitimate threat to Wolverine's power, mainly because it can do anything. But
yeah, I mean, I do. There's one joke in this fight I like, which is when he climbs up the smokestack, he's like, "Get up here," and then he just instantly teleports up there.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. But you know what, Kyle? Deadpool is no match for the power of brotherly love.
No, because Victor decides now's the time to help.
Yeah, so he just is like back to back, because that's what they done in Vietnam and in the First and Second World Wars.
Uh-huh.
And they start fighting atop the smokestack whilst Deadpool teleports around them violently and eventually gives up and goes to the other side of the smokestack and then does his Black Diamond eyes. Yeah,
that's a little nod for the fans, isn't it? They'll love that. They'll love that little cheeky nod to the comic books, which, you know, they're not being faithful, but they've got their own interpretation, and they think they're going to love this bold new direction.
Exactly, it is a bold new direction, Kyle. And I don't mind bold new directions. You know, I'm not inherently against them. It's just this is bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. So he does Scott Summers' Cyclopsy laser eyes across the smokestack, and it catches Wolverine and Victor off guard, and they're like, "Whoa, what's happening here?"
But he manages to block it with his claws, because that makes sense. Because there's not like big holes when you block something with your claws, but it also superheats the claws. So
it's very cool.
It's so cool. The claws, by the way, the CGI, this is the worst so far on the CGI claws.
Yeah.
There's a shot where he's checking them out in the mirror, and it just looks like they've been quickly composited in Photoshop.
Yeah, they don't even rotate properly. Yeah.
No.
They sort of clip between 2D and 3D.
Yeah, it's really distracting.
It is real distracting, I'll grant you that entirely. But, listen, we've won the day, Kyle, because we have decapitated Deadpool. Deadpool is dead.
Yeah. His head spins around, shooting lasers through the smokestack, which is very funny.
Yeah, that was really cool when that happened, actually. I was a big fan of seeing just it was the same as Scott Summers' laser eyes destroying Springfield Elementary.
Uh-huh. It turns out that Cyclops' powers can be cool if you use them in a cool way.
You're asking too much of this film and of all X-Men movies.
Well, also, can we talk about CGI Professor X? He shows up for 5 seconds.
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Sure, go for it. Why not?
So he shows up in a helicopter and he guides Scott Summers there with telepathy. And he could have just telepathically talked to all of them, I assume, but he only talks to Scott Summers, so it's a reveal.
Because Scott is the leader of the X-Men, Kyle, in the future.
Yes. But he shows up, and I have a lot of questions about this. First of all, was Professor X already planning this escape attempt, or did he see in this thing with Cerebral that Logan was planning this attack, and he's like, I'm gonna cash in. I'm gonna go in a helicopter. I'm gonna pick up all these people. Or was he already planning an escape attempt, and this just worked in his favor?
I think that he decided to cash in. I think that Xavier is an opportunistic prick.
Right, okay, gotcha.
And yeah, that's kind of my stance on it. He looked on Cerebral and was like, this is my chance, because what's he going to do, flying like a fancy, sophisticated helicopter that can't fit all those people inside it?
I was going to say that too. There's no way all those guys are fitting in that helicopter.
Yeah, what, with no weapons, just walk around and freeze everyone at all with these Xavier powers, and then just walk out.
To be fair, he probably could do that.
He probably could do that, yeah. Maybe it's something better to be shown and not spoken about. It just sounds a bit silly. Kyle, Kayla is lying on the ground. She's been injured, and she grabs Stryker's arm or leg and is like, I could make you shoot you. I could do that. I could make you shoot yourself. But
yeah.
No.
Oh, she's been shot by a random goon earlier.
Yes, I thought she'd been stabbed, but yeah. I thought she'd been stabbed by Victor. No, she was shot by a random goon earlier, because she's like, other mutants, you must run away. Go, Emma Frost and Scott Summers. Take everyone else to safety. She's like, I could make you shoot yourself, Stryker, but no, I'm going to make you walk and walk and walk until your feet bleed, and you're going to keep walking. Now, if she has the power to keep influence on someone after she's let go of them, why doesn't she say, hey, Stryker, stop hating mutants?
Hey, Stryker, become a mutants' rights activist.
Yeah, become mutants' rights activists. Give your vast sums of wealth to mutant organisations. Help people, actually. No, she doesn't do that. She just walk away. Now, just before this happens...
Well, this Logan gets shot with adamantium bullets, and he doesn't even bleed or anything.
No, because this is a 12A, Kyle. You know, on Disney Plus, you get pop-ups for, like, why a film has been given the rating it's been given.
Yep.
Do you want to know why this film got the rating it got on Disney Plus?
Tell me.
Because it depicts use of tobacco products.
It does do that. That's true.
It's because Wolverine likes his cheap cigars. This film
that bumped up the rating.
Yeah, this was going to be a U before that, Kyle, for everyone.
Yeah, well, Logan gets shot by these bullets, and I guess he doesn't realize that they're adamantium bullets because he just keeps charging in. And I would just say, Logan, it's a revolver. It's only got 6 shots. Just dodge, and then he's screwed if he misses.
Imagine he wasted all his adamantium bullets.
It's pretty easy to imagine because he only has 6 bullets.
Yeah.
And he was going to waste one of them on the lady.
He was going to waste one of them on the lady, yeah. What a weirdo Stryker became right at the end.
He really did. He just, his motivations are, I am a bad guy.
And his frozen son is still in a frozen bunker downstairs.
Well, yeah, he orchestrated all of this just to make Wolverine immortal, and then he wanted to, like, brainwash Wolverine, I guess.
He wanted to,
plan.
He only wanted to use Wolverine to see if someone could survive adamantium skeleton procedure. That's all he wanted Logan for. And then after it worked, he was like, right, okay, well, we can still erase his memory and use him as a government asset like Zero, you know?
Yeah, maybe have that planned ahead of time. Maybe don't announce that while you're doing the procedure. Yeah. Maybe everyone should be in on that plan before that point, you know?
Absolutely. But like, if he dies, and we just know that we need to work another way to get it into Deadpool. If it works, you know what to do next, you know?
Yeah. If it works, then the procedure continues and erases his memory. Just make that part of the procedure.
Make that part of the declaration form, yeah, for the health insurance.
Oh, yeah.
The supervising general should know. That was such a weird scene. We don't even need to talk about it, but there's a cutaway to an exterior shot of generals arriving by a helicopter. So does that mean that Logan was inside that pool of water for hours before they actually started the thing? Oh, very strange. Sorry, and then apparently sedation doesn't work on him, but he feels pain like everyone else. Very interesting stuff.
Yeah. Apparently you can sedate him by shooting him in the head with an adamantium bullet.
They could have shot him in the head with any bullet, I presume, before he got the adamantium skeleton.
That's
to
true,
knock him out for a while.
Why does anesthetic not work on him? Because it makes for a more dynamic scene.
It's because his body regenerates and rejects it quickly. But why doesn't it reject adamantium?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is his skeleton being turned to mush before being replaced with adamantium, or is the adamantium just coating the skeleton?
I think it's just coating the skeleton.
Right, okay. Because it was like, we must destroy you to remake you. What does that mean?
It just means hurt him a bunch, I guess.
So, Gambit Ex Machina.
Yeah, Gambit shows up, and Gambit's like, I'm back now. Why?
He uses his staff like an Inquisitor uses their lightsaber as a helicopter.
He does. But why is he here?
To come back and help Logan.
But why didn't he just... If he was going to come back and help Logan, why didn't he just come in the first place?
Because Logan had to do a drop with flying into the water.
Right.
Because the reason he had to do that is because it would be too dangerous for Gambit to land, even though Gambit very clearly is able to land because you can see
he lands it later.
Dot
Yeah, that's where they're running off at the end.
Yeah, but then
it's silly.
Gambit is like, Logan, I've been helping you, and Logan's lost all his memories because he shot with adamantium bullet, and he's like, I don't know who you are, I don't know who anything is. And then he's like, come with me, I'll get you out of here because you can see all the sirens and all that. And then Logan decides, no, I won't do that. There's this dead lady on the floor I've never met before. I will find my own way. Because it's thematic, because the old couple have a bumper sticker on the back of their truck window that says, not all wanderers are lost.
And yeah, that's the end of the movie. It zooms out into space because they didn't know how else to end the movie.
Yeah. We get a post-credit scene with Deadpool's arm going to pick up his head, and his mouth is now unflesh covered.
Yeah, and he goes, shh.
Which I think it almost makes him sound like Hush, or like the Calendar Man.
Yeah.
Like he belongs in Arkham Asylum, like he's a Batman villain.
It's very strange. I mean, with that design, he looks like he came out of Mad Max.
He looks like he could be bloody, what's his face? Oh, the name.
Zaz?
Yeah, Zaz. Yeah. He really looks like a Batman villain in that moment.
Well, we also have another pointless post-credit scene where Stryker gets pulled over by the cops and it's like, you're wanted for questioning of the murder of senior
general man that you did kill.
Yeah. Which is pointless because we know from X2 that doesn't amount to anything, and he's still got lots of power. So I guess they forgot about that time he murdered a general.
Or he lied. He was like, I didn't do anything. That was Wolverine that done that, actually.
I guess, yeah. But why even bother mentioning it at all?
Why even bother mentioning it at all? Exactly. No Stan Lee.
No Stan Lee. He noped out of this
I
one.
have never noticed that Stan Lee isn't in this film.
It's hard to notice a negative, you know?
So I kind of... The pop culture status of Stan Lee is that, he's in all the Marvel movies. And I even think before the MCU was what it was in, like, Avengers Civil War era, he was always still kind of known as the guy that showed up in all the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah, he's been in most of the movies we've done so far.
Yeah, I know he wasn't in Daredevil, and he wasn't in Elektra.
He wasn't Daredevil, he wasn't in Elektra.
Yeah, he wasn't in Elektra. Who was he in Daredevil again?
He was the guy behind a newspaper.
Yeah, right. But I just kind of assumed he was in this because he's also in the other X-Men movies. But yeah, he's just not in this.
Yeah. And we're off the high, too, of the best Stan Lee cameo, where he cameos as himself.
Yeah, we are. We've gone from one of the best cameos to definitely one of the worst.
Yeah, not being in it at all is one of the worst, to be sure.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. That's
it.
That's X-Men Origins Wolverine. Such a weird name. I think I used to always call it X-Men Wolverine Origins. It doesn't roll off the tongue, this movie title.
No.
You need to really get...
It doesn't help, too, that they made another movie called The Wolverine.
You really need to get the, like, semicolon after Origins to know that they're doing, like, X-Men Origins is the brand, you know?
Yeah, that's the brand.
But then they dump that.
That's this movie, though. It's a movie made for brand. It's not a movie made for creative passion.
Yeah, I read that in your notes there, which I really agree with. This was like a movie for the brand and not a movie for, like, a creative decision.
It's like, we want to keep the X-Men brand going, so we're going to do the origin movies. Wolverine's the most popular character, so we're going to start with Wolverine.
Yeah.
Make a movie.
Yeah, make a movie. Do you have a story? No. Would you make one? We want it out. It is interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this movie kind of, again, didn't kill off the X-Men franchise, but it did cause them to do another reboot with the First Class movies, which we're looking at next week on the show. But
we are indeed.
As I said, the only legacy I feel this movie has left was
the scene in Deadpool 2 where he shoots himself in the head.
Deadpool 2 where he shoots himself in the head. Well, just Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. That's it, you know?
Yeah.
As previously mentioned, I'll be seeing the latest incarnation of these two characters on screen together this evening. Very much looking forward to that. And I can't wait for us to do a review on this in like 5 months' time. Kyle.
Well, Nathan, until then, where can people find you on the
I'm being
internet?
neutral. Why this?
Oh, sorry.
I'm
Okay.
about to ask you that very question.
Well, people can, of course, find me at Kyle the Skull on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques, and I recently talked about The Acolyte, so that's something, isn't it?
It was something.
It sure was a show.
Sure was a show. And as always, people can find me at all good social media hosting services such as Threads, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Twitter, Instagram, at Nathan Tinney, wherever you need, and also in Kyle's comment sections from time to time. Thank you everyone so much for listening. You can check out our entire back catalogue of this show for Enter the X-Verse. We'll have our previous season for Enter the Snyderverse, where we went through everything in the DCEU. We also would have our back catalogue of Name Not Included, our more generic Two Dudes Talking podcast, which has been on hold for a while now. And you can hear us next week for X-Men First Class.